Good morning. Welcome to our 12 noon broadcast. These are the four main news that move the world. Noon's top story focuses on a growing international trade dispute between Canada and the United States. BBC said that Ontario Premier Doug Ford had stood firm behind his decision to run an anti-tariff advertisement in the U.S. that featured Ronald Reagan and angered Donald Trump, saying, "We had achieved our goal." BBC said that his comments on Monday come after President Trump had suspended trade talks with Canada over the advert and had said that he would hike tariffs on Canada 10%, over and above current levies. BBC said that both Trump and Prime Minister Mark Carney were in Asia this week for the ASEAN summit, but Trump had told reporters he had no plans to meet with Carney and wouldn't be meeting with him for a long time.
Moving from domestic trade disagreements to contentious international relations. The U.S. continues to face strong criticism regarding its stance on the Maduro regime. A top Venezuelan official claims, "No doubt Trump wants to topple our government." BBC said that there was no doubt that U.S. President Donald Trump was trying to overthrow the Venezuelan government, the country's attorney general had told the BBC. BBC said that Tarek William Saab, a close ally of President Nicolas Maduro, said Trump wanted to turn Venezuela into a colony of the U.S. BBC said that Trump had accused Maduro of being the leader of a drug trafficking organization, which he denied, and there were fears in Venezuela that a U.S. military buildup was aimed at removing the longtime Trump opponent from power. BBC said that the U.S. said it had killed at least 43 people in strikes on alleged drug boats off South America, and Trump had said the U.S. was looking at land now after getting the sea very well under control.
The White House has yet to issue a formal response to these grave allegations. On a serious note regarding global security, we now shift our focus to the ongoing humanitarian crisis and alleged war crimes in Ukraine, where a new UN inquiry reveals disturbing findings on the use of drones against civilians. The Guardian said that Russia had been using drones to chase and drop bombs on civilians who live near the front line in Ukraine, hounding them out of their homes and forcing thousands to flee whole areas in a crime against humanity. The UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Ukraine had found. The Guardian said that, in its report, the commission says civilians had been chased for long distances by drones with cameras, and sometimes then had been attacked while seeking shelter. The Guardian said that its findings had been based on interviews with 226 people, including victims, witnesses, aid workers, and local authorities, as well as hundreds of verified online videos. The Guardian said that the attacks described in the report had occurred in 3 regions in southern Ukraine, near the front line and across the Dnipro River from Russian forces. Over more than a year,
this report calls for immediate international action and full accountability for the perpetrators. And finally tonight, changing gears from conflict to strategic cooperation. The U.S. and Japan are strengthening their economic ties with a major agreement on critical minerals and rare earths. CNN said that U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi had signed an agreement to secure supplies of critical minerals and rare earths following their bilateral meeting in Tokyo on Tuesday. CNN said that the two leaders had agreed to support the supply of critical minerals, both raw and processed, and rare earths crucial to the domestic industries of the United States and Japan. CNN said that the framework would allow the two allies to cooperate to secure supply and mobilize the government and public sector to strengthen investment in the mining and processing of resources used to power everything from iPhones to electric vehicles.
Speaking of major corporations, we turn now to a story about business restructuring and the human cost of efficiency. Amazon has confirmed it will be cutting 14,000 corporate jobs globally. The BBC said that Amazon had confirmed that it planned to cut around 14,000 corporate jobs worldwide to become more efficient and focus on artificial intelligence, AI, opportunities. The BBC said that Senior Vice President Beth Galetti had said the decision aimed to make the company stronger by reallocating resources toward major investments and customer needs, even though Amazon was currently performing well financially. The BBC said that she had described AI as the most transformative technology since the Internet, emphasizing the need for a more agile and less hierarchical organization. The BBC said that Amazon had assured that it would support affected employees by helping them find new roles or providing severance packages. The BBC said that CEO Andy Jassy had said that automation would inevitably reduce some jobs while creating new types of work. From corporate layoffs, we move to a different kind of global operation: security. The U.S. military is stepping up its campaign against drug trafficking in the Pacific. CNN said that the U.S. military had carried out 4 new attacks in the eastern Pacific Ocean on Monday, killing 14 people and leaving 1 survivor, according to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. CNN said that these strikes had marked the first time multiple operations had been conducted in a single day, as part of the Trump administration's intensified campaign against suspected drug trafficking vessels. CNN said that a classified legal opinion reportedly had allowed lethal strikes against drug cartels, treating them as enemy combatants. CNN said that Hegseth had stated the targeted vessels had been operated by a designated terrorist organization trafficking narcotics in the eastern Pacific, and all attacks had occurred in international waters without U.S. casualties. And finally, on a grave note regarding ongoing conflict and humanitarian crises, the UN is now pleading for safe passage for civilians trapped in the war-hit Sudan city of El Fasher. BBC said that the UN had called for safe passage for trapped civilians out of the Sudanese city of El Fasher after paramilitary fighters announced they had seized control of the army's main base there. BBC said that Sudan's military hadn't acknowledged loss of the site, which would be a significant victory for the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, in the ongoing civil war. BBC said that UN Chief Antonio Guterres had said the latest fighting had marked a terrible escalation in the conflict, adding that the suffering of civilians was unbearable. AFP news agency reported. BBC said that El Fasher was the army foothold before in the vast western region of Darfur, and had been besieged by the RSF and its allies for 18 months.
That suffering and trauma often highlight the fragility of mental health globally. And on that critical note, we turn to a story that links technology and the urgent mental health crisis. OpenAI estimates that more than 1 million people every week show suicidal intent when chatting with ChatGPT. The Guardian said that more than 1 million ChatGPT users each week sent messages that include explicit indicators of potential suicidal planning or intent, according to a blog post published by OpenAI on Monday. The Guardian said that the finding, part of an update on how the chatbot handled sensitive conversations, was one of the most direct statements from the artificial intelligence giant on the scale of how AI could exacerbate mental health issues. The Guardian said that OpenAI also had said that about 0.07 of users active in a given week, about 560,000 of its touted 800 million weekly users, showed possible signs of mental health emergencies related to psychosis or mania. The Guardian said that the Post had cautioned that these conversations had been difficult to detect or measure, and that this had been an initial analysis. That's a potentially revolutionary approach to fighting disease. Now, we look at another crucial area of medicine. A new study is ranking the effects of antidepressants on physical health for the first time. BBC said that side effects of different antidepressants had been ranked for the first time, revealing huge differences between drugs. BBC said that Academics had looked at the impact medications had had on patients in the first 8 weeks after starting treatment, with some causing patients to gain up to 2 kilograms in weight, or vary heart rate by as much as 21 beats every minute. BBC said that. The researchers said up to 1 in 6 adults in Europe and North America took antidepressants. BBC said that. The study by King's College London and the University of Oxford was the first to produce a ranking so the effects of medicines could be easily compared. Before we turn to our culture segment, we have a critical breaking news alert. A major storm is threatening the Caribbean. Category 5 Hurricane Melissa's landfall is imminent in Jamaica. The situation is urgent. The Washington Post said that Elon Musk had launched a new online encyclopedia meant to rival Wikipedia, promoting it as an unbiased alternative that reflected his own vision. The Washington Post said that the project was part of Musk's latest effort to use his AI system, Grok, developed by his company xAI, to create right-leaning, free-thinking alternatives to mainstream tech tools. The Washington Post said that, while some Musk supporters had welcomed the launch, critics had pointed out that several articles contained false information or copied sections directly from Wikipedia. The Washington Post said that the new site resembled Wikipedia in format and included topics like ChatGPT, Diane Keaton, and the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But it was smaller, less transparent, and more politically right-leaning in tone.
Before we turn to our culture segment, we have a critical breaking news alert. A major storm is threatening the Caribbean. Category 5 Hurricane Melissa's landfall is imminent in Jamaica. The situation is urgent. CNN said that, fueled by devastating winds of 185 miles per hour, Hurricane Melissa, one of the strongest Atlantic storms in history, was about to make landfall in Jamaica, threatening to devastate the island nation. CNN said that Melissa was so powerful that it could transform Jamaica for years and trigger a humanitarian disaster. CNN said that Jamaica had never before been hit by a Category 5 hurricane, and a UN agency had described it as the storm of the century. CNN said that the hurricane had already caused 7 deaths, 3 in Jamaica during preparations, 3 in Haiti, and 1 in the Dominican Republic.
Shifting now from the real-world dangers of the environment to the controlled excitement of the playing field. We turn to sports, where Lando Norris is making headlines in Mexico. The BBC Sport said that Norris had been worried before the race that starting from pole position with a long run to the first corner could make him vulnerable to the Ferrari drivers. The BBC Sport said that he had managed the start perfectly, keeping the lead into turn 1 while Leclerc and Hamilton had defended against Verstappen's attack. The BBC Sport said that Norris had stayed in control throughout the race, never under threat, and had won by 30 seconds. The BBC Sport said that this victory had continued a strong run of results since his retirement from the Dutch Grand Prix due to a fuel line failure. From the racetrack to the basketball court, the NBA has also announced its weekly top performers. Victor Wembanyama and Giannis Antetokounmpo have been named Players of the Week. The NBA said that Victor Wembanyama from the San Antonio Spurs and Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks had been named NBA Players of the Week for Week 1 of the 2025-26 season. The NBA said that Wembanyama, representing the Western Conference, had led the Spurs to a 3-0 record, averaging 33.3 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 6.0 blocks per game. The NBA said that Antetokounmpo, representing the Eastern Conference, had led the Bucks to a 2-1 record, averaging 36.0 points, 16.0 rebounds, and 7.0 assists per game. The NBA said that both players had been recognized for their dominant performances and leadership early in the season. Moving from the NBA's stars to a potential future star in European football. Manchester City's Pep Guardiola believes James Trafford will become England's #1 goalkeeper. The BBC said that James Trafford had started the season as Manchester City's first-choice goalkeeper, but had lost his place after the late signing of Gianluigi Donnarumma from Paris Saint-Germain. The BBC said that Guardiola had said the goalkeeper situation was special, since only one could play, and he had praised Trafford's great attitude in training.